Hello, my learned friends. We are back with more of the Great Ace Attorney. Last time we met someone who looked mysteriously familiar, so I will not be opening this video saying my best friend is dead, and I'm very sad about it. Because I think this game is pointing me in another direction, and that was going to make me feel all kinds of different things. But anyway, you missed the first episode. Somebody died. I know, shocking. Anyway. I can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. I haven't come up with a voice for this dude. Ah, Mr. Nanowrimo. Good morning. That is not how I voiced him. How did I voice him? I don't remember. Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel like it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted for some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with a most tiresome case here. Never mind! I thought Mr. Sholmes, that was, not Sholmes' voice I did, but oh well. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Rono, leaving me alone at the home with Arlie. It took me at least an hour to wake him up. Are you? Hello, Sholmes! Indeed, sir, I am he. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits even whilst living in Germany. Oh yes, France magazine is on sale in Germany too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in the Adventure of Silver Place was wonderful. Ah yes, a memorable case indeed. I consider a snail. I consider a snake. I can talk. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was the speckled band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Tuspel's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as a proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, then you must absolutely give it your full attention, Harley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Ah, yes, quite. Definitely. Absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Bruno, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. I could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree? But how could an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Harley. Oh, that's perfect. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Bruno, but chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? No, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. Hey, it's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. Huh, that sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed, and a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. Eek. Less than ideal, I suppose. Less than ideal. Then again, isn't it always? They're probably going to decide he's guilty like 2 seconds in, and I gotta do something, summation, examination, or something stupid. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hello, Van Zix. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrain. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more? That's so sad! I'm without Susato-san today. She is a clutch player. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Osmond. Mr. Osmond was well known as a financier, although that was merely in front of his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zieks. But the jury unanimously found him not guilty. Because every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. But 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Osmond met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. But the fact remains that Mr. Osmond's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will have selected at random. You have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the 6 of you ready to fulfill your societal duty? Well, who are you? I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. Science experiments, magic conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. Any surprise scholar defies the reputation of science deserves to hang. We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence, and that settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Wait a minute! That's the dude from before! Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. Why is juror number 6 always so tired? That's the police killer Autumn will look like again. Yep. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we are here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening. Though the death toll could have been far worse, With the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks. At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of science's latest developments, I take it. The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking! Ha! Oh, well, it's absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you're a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field. I am, and my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? What a rot! Because he meant to kill him. Order! The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Osmond's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But this disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. There we go. Bailiff, show the first witnesses to the stand. Alright, here we go. Let's do the little dance again. Oh yeah, okay. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty in the demonstration in the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. I need to come up with a voice for this dude. I feel like he'd be really high-pitched. Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery, which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, alright? An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, there was the terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. This was taken inside the crystal tile, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well, submit the photograph as evidence. As the courts heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Osmond. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being. He was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But could it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right! That must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine! You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Suspension for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage? With that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it be possible to be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? How can you possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for the murder. The corpse that went crashing through this crystal tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he's clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. And this fellow's the only one who could have done it. Ooh. That's unfortunate. An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No! That couldn't be further from the truth. I have the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood by himself and saw something called the bird cage ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the crystal tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower, then. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that's pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like to enter it into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. Neck was broken from the impact of the violent fall, and he was stabbed in the chest with a sharp object. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. The only person on the stage with Mr. Osmond was that disgraced executional scientist. Then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. It's been a while. What evidence do I have to work with? Let me just... Okay, mysterious contraption. How do I turn it? Button? No button. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. I can't press the button. Okay, can I... It looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. I've never seen anything like it before, but applying Mr. Sholm's methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. Okay. Details, 47. Here's the heart. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. We already did that. Okay. Here we go. Crusted crystal, broken neck. I made a blind association. That was a mistake. Okay. So the angle of the projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally? Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only, you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is too complicated. Even I can make a mistake. Do people fall for that brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account this object's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possibility variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Osmond was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah! Cracking comets! The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. The 3 must be for safety third. A fatal wound. There's a lesionist test. Okay. Like what? The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensics investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So, what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused's tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah, yes, that would appear to be some kind of... Ah! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew? Of course. Ha! Do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew is my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Ah, that isn't... It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No! That's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? What? Clearly, he didn't know where his tool was. The court will enter this friend and the defendant as evidence. So one of the Professor Harebrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. I just want to observe it. This is blood. Mr. Osmond's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. What? I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. which could be important information, so I should definitely make note of it. Okay. Can I unscrew it? Wait, hold on. No? Okay. No. No and no. We're done. Okay, back. Press!
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Huh, you really need to ask. There are only 2 people in that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odie Osmond, and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could have. You just don't say great Scott.
Excuse me.
Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor! Oh, sorry! I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis. Electrolysis is to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? It seemed as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, did he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no one way I could have possibly stabbed Mr. Osmond, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-blooded policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I'd hurt. Then surely, you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrews into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. Ah. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to see a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see? Not one. True. I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Yeah, when would he have stabbed him? Order! Stop it. Stop it. Put it down. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savour a draught from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Brett. But I'm really not a patch on you. No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The weapon the victim was stabbed with must have been left in his body while he was beamed through the air.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector? With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's Susato-san when you need her? If you ask me, his book masked what he was doing from the view of his body before stabbing Osmond in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off stage with his fancy device, screwed off a stowaway, planted it. I would never do such a thing! Not to my precious tools! I would never use them for such dirty work! You only use tools for their intended purpose! That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. So that's all the testimony I have to work with. Okay. Okay. Alright, let me save quick. And I must have some evidence to... I think it's because of the thing with like the handle matching or something. It must be important, apparently. We'll try presenting it. Also, what did they find that in there?
Objection.
Okay. You say that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimentation site. Even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is that the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about this screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Ah, well, now you come to mention it, yes? Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Eh? No! I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear it wasn't such a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Ah! That's right. It should have been beamed across the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Osmond. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Oh. Ah! I'm very into the voice acting today, everybody. How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't. It looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. If the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred, obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zeeks is stumped. What do you think you're doing? Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it! It bears out. The equation holds. Mr. Naruto, don't worry! About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Osmond's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. What? I don't understand. Also, he's stumped. It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation? Just when I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists. Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Okay, yeah. To be clear, I'm still on the stage gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states the kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. I knew it. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Osmond was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You got lucky, sir. So the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrain? Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lies upon upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony. My esteemed friend from across several continents. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Ugh. You're kidding me.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so it isn't proven then. No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. But it is widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Electrolysis? I don't know. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusus cage, in which Mr. Osmo is placed for the kinesis. Wait, his glasses are metal, aren't they? Ah, the jail cell which the victim was detained. It does seem to be made of timber of some sort. I'll thank you for not refraining. Okay, hold on. In short. Okay, wait, hold on. He has glasses. Glasses are made of metal. Glasses are made of metal. I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, this is not right. Okay, so let me save this just in case they're like picky, you know what I mean? But he's wearing glasses that I believe would be made of metal because I don't think they had. Did they wear plastic glasses back then? I don't think so. Okay, anyway. Present evidence. This is easy.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay close attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Osmond is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No! Metal cat. Metal? No! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal-rimmed spectacles would have been found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Harebrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. No! My hypothesis! Order! Counsel, what is the implication of this? What do you mean, what is the implication of this? If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. If I could say something here in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4, go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. And that's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait! Great Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the records of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No! That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis! It's protected by the special dispensation from Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil's that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Yeah, we should probably object to all this insanity. I don't know. Whenever the game does this, they usually want me to raise an objection. At the same time, though, what if I just sit here and chill? Nah, we're gonna be difficult.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would be the case, seem to be the case, yes. But even so, what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public? He would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Oh, fair enough. The government was foolish enough to deem the man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? £10? You're an order of magnitude up, madam. £500 a year. Oh! Your government answer is that much yes. To not English. The society has noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field recently, and plenty of scientists arguing for each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. Low-key, he could have been faking it. No, I haven't deceived anyone. At least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah! Back! And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Ah, Barak! Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were the spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was prestige. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Wow, I was kind of zooming through those ones today. One. All right, I'll see you next time, my friends, my learned friends.